Well, it says we're live
Hmm.
on YouTube, Facebook. I'm not sure about LinkedIn. LinkedIn
Can
said
you
it
do
was in
that?
what?
Can you do that on LinkedIn? I didn't know you could do video.
Yeah. But I'm concerned that we
Can't interact with Facebook?
oh,
Another COVID case.
oh.
The phone call I was supposed to have today, his son just texted. It's everywhere.
COVID. Well, the good thing, Karen, is people aren't getting as sick.
Thank goodness.
So I think we're live. I'm learning this new platform here. I invested a little bit of time and energy and money into this new software, but I can't see who's logged on. So I don't know. I'm assuming we're live.
How do we figure it out? I don't think people want to watch us just try to figure it out. So let's get into
Well, we'll just like talking to the screen
Hi
here.
to anybody.
Hi to anybody who's listening and watching.
There.
Karen, we redesigned the time today because of you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank you.
are you better?
I was never sick.
Oh.
I had to go get a mark checked. I had to go to the dermatologist and get a biopsy.
How'd it work out with that?
We'll wait now. I have to wait like a week for my results.
All right.
I think we're fine. She said it doesn't look suspicious and it looks okay, but they took a biopsy and now I wait. So my leg has little stitches in it. That's it.
All right. Well, I'm looking at my arms in the mirror here. I need to fucking get my shit together. I'm feeling a little soft and fluffy, but that's going to change. The Rebirth 2022. Yeah, exactly. So we're live. Let's go. I really, it's weird. I got to learn this because I'm just like, we're staring at each other here in the mirror on the TV. And I can't tell if it's actually working or not.
Well, it says there's 10 people watching.
Where?
Right in the top.
Oh,
left.
shit.
Yeah.
Hello, 10 people.
So we're starting.
All right. We are live. Let's go.
All right.
I'm Anthony Minetti. This is Project My Life show, the Project My Life show. And this is my co-host for at least 25 episodes. She's committed to, signed the contract, 25 episodes, and that's how it's going down. So, yeah, it's been fun so far. It's been 4 days in a row being consistent with it. That's a good thing. Momentum is building. I'm very happy with that. And today we're talking about reason number 2, top reason number 2, why your diet sucks. And that could be anybody. I'm not saying you in particular, but why diets suck and why diets don't work as we head into the new year. One of the topics, one of the biggest resolutions is eating healthily. Talked to someone this morning, said him and his wife are going to start eating more healthily for the new year. We have more viewers doing it a little bit later.
And we focus.
I'm super hyper focused right now, but just making a note. And yeah, so eating healthy is something that everybody's, really tries in the new year, and then they stumble upon certain things. But reason why we started our gym really, or our business, is because I've noticed really what inspired me to make a business out of it and help is because I've seen people. I've been in the gym since I was 13 years old, cleaning the gym. And then I started being a trainer, and then I started obviously, running gyms, and now we have our own facility where we help people out with fitness and nutrition, obviously. But what I've noticed the past 30 years of me being in the industry is that there's people who come in. It doesn't necessarily always the beginning of the year, but that just happens to be a fresh start. But they come in, something happens in their life, they hit a wall where they're like, I got to make a change. I want to do this. So that is the first step, right? Step number 2 is committing to something, a program or changes. That's number 2. Number 3 is the actual transformation. And number 4, I think, is with some people, the 4th stage is either they don't really get to their goal, so they fall off, or they're afraid of regressing, so they stay on program, right? Which is typically
so led by fear almost.
Right. So those are the 4 phases that I've seen. Now, on the other side of the coin, there are many people who start off with great ambitions and great intentions, but they fall short. So, Karen, yesterday you said number one reason you feel, based upon your years of experience, is that diets are too restricted,
Too restrictive.
and they put you in a box. And it may be easier to just, not learn nutrition and just cut or eliminate foods out of your diet. That may be the easiest approach, but it's not the easiest long term. You will see some potential, temporary metabolic damage, or just
Yo-yo.
a yo-yo dieting approach, slower metabolism,
Gaining extra body weight.
more
Or
fat
body
gain.
fat.
Right.
Mhm.
So what's your number two, Karen?
I was tossing between two ideas. So, well, two topics, but I think I have to save one for tomorrow. So I think my number two reason why diets suck is that we have a tendency to label foods as good and bad.
Boom.
Yeah. So that's like one of the worst things to do, because then it gets into your emotions and your mentality. So where I said yesterday, super restrictive diets are not good, I also don't think it's good to label food good and bad, because the second we label something as bad, we think, oh, well, we want that. It's like that temptation, and that temptation's always going to be there. If we're like, well, that's not good, don't ever do that, don't ever eat that. So it's almost like this temptation all the time. It's like when you tell a kid, like, don't touch that. Second you turn around, they're going to touch, right? Or don't do that. They're going to do that, right? So it's very similar in that when we say food is bad, you're just going to obsess about it. You're just going to want it, and eventually probably binge on it too. I mean, not saying that always is going to happen, but a lot of times we do see that when you say food is bad. So something like, I can't eat bread. Bread is bad. Pasta is bad. Bananas are bad. Meat is bad. Steak, red meat is bad. And I just want to say, not true at all. All of that stuff can be incorporated into a healthy eating plan in moderation, and when you eat other things that are really nutritionally.
Are there any bad foods that you would say eliminate from your diet?
No, because I never want to say anything is bad. What I like to use is quality, right? So what's high quality and what is low quality? What gives us great nutrients? What's nutrient dense? And what is empty, like an empty calorie, meaning that it provides calories, but there's zero nutritional benefit to it.
Example?
Alcohol. It's the first thing I could think
Zero
of.
benefit. Shit, we can all benefit from a little bit of alcohol.
No, not nutritionally though.
Right.
Or something that, like, there's companies out there that make, I don't know, 0 calorie foods.
What's that? The
Walden Farms.
Walden Farms.
I didn't want to say, but okay, Walden Farms is a product that makes like peanut butter that has 0 calories in it. I mean, that is virtually impossible if it was a real
so
food.
deceiving,
right?
because the chemicals that are in it, and I'm not saying that you can't eat chemicals and chemicals are bad, because a lot of foods that we eat are there's Lane Norton always puts up about bananas and how there's a lot of chemicals, and there's a lot of, even in good foods, there's a lot of stuff that we would think that would be bad are good. So I'm not saying that I drink Diet Coke. I used to drink 1 a day or 2 a day. Now I'm like 1 a week, maybe once a month.
You don't even do that.
I don't even do that anymore. But I'm not against those things. I'm not against sugar-free stuff. But when you have a product that says there's 0 calories in it,
and it's peanut butter,
and there's peanut butter
or dressing or chocolate sauce, you have to question that. The red flag has to go up. So I'm not going to say, like, again, I don't want to label that as bad, even though it's really not great. I'd rather say there is 0 quality to that. And actually, if you really think about it, it's not even food, right? So you could label that as bad because there's literally no food in that either. So maybe that's an exception to the rule.
Can we say there's a sliding scale of nutrient-rich, dense foods to 0 nutrition value, and that should be like a scale. And again, I have foods that typically don't give me any kind of value besides tasting good or comfort. I'm not against that stuff, but I've been down the road before, just using a personal story with bodybuilding, and especially in my earlier days where I would be so hyper restricted and focused on that one day and that one, competition. And I got my body in phenomenal shape, aesthetics, really, really extreme low body fat, under 5% body fat, and like a clock. I was just so precise with my food. and I eliminated all the foods that would trigger me to want to eat more. Again, I used to be a chubby little Italian kid, right? So I would eat. I went through a couple rough stages in my life where I would just eat for different reasons, and we can get into those in a different podcast. But when I used to go super strict in my competition, I would always get to the end of it, and my mom said the eating frenzy would begin because she would make me a cake or a pie or two, and I would have pizza, and then I'd be online waiting for my pizza to get cooked. I used to work at Pizza Hut, by the way. So I used to get my pizza, and then I used to walk across the street and go to 7-Eleven. Those of you who know me from back in the day, you know that I used to do this. Get my cookies, my Entenmann's soft batch cookies, and maybe have a few while I was waiting online, and have my ice cream in the microwave. I would nuke it a little bit so it'd be a little soft so I can eat it quicker. So as I was online waiting to pay, I would eat my ice cream and my chocolate chip cookies, and then sometimes I would walk across the street to get my pizza and realize that the ice cream was done. So I'd walk. I promise you, it's happened more than once. I'd walk back into 7-Eleven and I'd get my second thing of ice cream. At the time, Ben and Jerry's Chubby Hubby. I can't have pretzels anymore. I'm a little bit intolerant to gluten. But Chubby Hubby, second round. I wouldn't microwave that one because I wanted to save that one. So I already polished off at least 4 or 5 cookies, plus a little pint of ice cream. Going back for my second one, follow me now, and then I would walk all the way across the street again to get my
all the way across the street
to get my cheese sticks with bacon on top that I used to dip in the ranch dressing. And I'm making some of you guys hungry right now. And then
I wish we could see the Facebook comments.
I gotta learn how to do that with this new platform. And then I would get my stuffed crust pizza, pepperoni stuffed crust, by the way. And then I would eat that. And then if I had room, if I didn't feel like throwing up after the pizza, I would go into, eat my ice cream. And I wish I had videos of that and documenting that, because that was miserable. And I would feel like shit. My blood sugar would go way up and then crash. And then I would just feel like garbage. So after I was in really great shape, 1 minute, the next minute I would feel like hell. So again.
And why did this happen?
What? Because I was too restrictive.
Because it was too restrictive, which brings me back to the first point we made yesterday. And guys, this is actually extremely common in the bodybuilding world, even more than general population. Where general population, you might have but you might have like just a little bit of a binge, or I mean, you have to really define binge. It's like, it's not really a binge if you just go off and have like, a couple pieces of cake. But something like this happens all the time in the bodybuilding community after a competition, and that is like legitimately a binge. But again, it comes down to because the diet was so restrictive. And again, I'm going to put money on it too that Anthony, during his prep time, would label food as good and bad, right? He was so restrictive. And then he also viewed cake or ice cream or pizza as bad. Can't have it. It's the enemy. It's not going to allow me get to that, shape I want to get to, that body fat on stage. While that may be true, it's also going into the psyche of like retraining yourself to view food as such extremes. So we don't have that vision of like, I can never do that because it's so bad. And the second I do it, I'm giving up everything and I'm just going to go in and do everything I possibly can.
I think it comes down to a few things. I wasn't able to have just one piece of pizza because I used to love pizza. So there was no self-control. It was like, if I'm going to have pizza, I'm going to eat 3 or 4 slices at minimum. Mm-hmm. And realizing now, it's like after that first or second bite, it doesn't say anymore. You keep on looking for that kind of the hit, that taste bud, right? That's number one. I wasn't believe it or not, disciplined enough to have 1 or 2 slices of pizza. Number one. Number two, they were trigger foods, right? So if that to me was a good or bad, or being good or bad food. Now I will say, shout out Nick DePalma. If and when you watch this, he was my first dude who said, bro, take out a baked potato and put some frozen yogurt. And this is going back to like, I don't know, 1997. So I'm showing my age right now. 97, I was a teenager. My last year as a teenager. And he's like, dude, instead of like, you know, you can have it just, you know, in moderation. And he was the first one to teach me that. And that was like, he's like, a calorie is a calorie is a calorie. Now, we've learned that that's not necessarily completely true, because a calorie coming from a carb is going to react different in your body as opposed to a calorie of protein and so forth and so on. That's just a little bit more of the physiological components of nutrition. But he was the first one to teach me that. And I was like, wow. And then, you know, Dr. Joe was talking about flexible dieting and kind of like, you know, as long as you know where you should be, you can kind of, you know, mix and match foods to kind of make it work for what your goal is. And then Lee Norton and all these guys just kind of blew up the flexible dieting thing. But we've learned a lot. I'm you know, I still learn every day.
I would say even like for me personally, my last 2 years of competing, when I actually competed years and years ago, my last 2 shows, or my last 4 shows, because I did 4 shows in a 2-year span, I didn't have that binge afterwards after either of those competitions, because I ate very flexibly the whole time. So if I wanted a little ice cream, I'd put ice cream into the plan. It wasn't all the time, but it might have been once a week or just a little bit here and there. I had chocolate every single day in my contest prep. I had like 1 or 2 pieces of chocolate. And it was those little things that truly allowed me not to feel deprived and not to feel so restrictive, where I felt like, cool, I can do this long term. I did not binge after all 4 of those shows. And that's great, because when I first started competing, I did the same thing because I just followed suit. Like, we ate a ton of calories, a ton of food immediately after the shows. But again, I think it was because we then have learned the flexibility approach to like say, I love chocolate. It's one of my favorite things. Like, I think if I could have an IV of it running through my veins, I'd be a very happy person. I always say, when I die and go to heaven, I'm going to have an abundance of all different chocolates. And I'm never going to gain any weight from it. That is the one thing I want. So I love chocolate. So for me, cutting it out for 16, 20 weeks really was challenging. And then I would really go into these binges. So when you learn to be flexible and incorporate and take away this label as chocolate's bad, bananas are bad, ice cream's bad, and you're like, they're not bad. Are their nutrients worth it right now? When you look at it differently as like, that's bad, don't eat it. It's like, not really. What am I going to gain out of that? And is it worth it? What's the quality, or how much quantity can I eat if I do want to incorporate that? That's when the shift starts to change too. And that's when I think results happen more long-term.
Permanent.
Yeah. So I know we went on a little bodybuilding tangent for a little bit, but
well, it gives perspective, because you know you see us in shape, and you think that it's just like a flip of the switch,
No.
and it is a flip of the switch. We go super hardcore, and that's kind of like, you know, I used to love being in that mode of like, I used to love that sacrifice, that feeling of sacrificing these foods. And it made the reward of stepping on stage that much more powerful.
Yeah.
But learning now, obviously, I'm looking.
I'd rather the flexible approach, get on stage and still look my best and not have to
100%.
have the sacrifice of everything, because the rebound of that is terrible and nasty if you do that. And you know, anybody who is dieting or trying to lose weight, you're going to go through very similar things, maybe not to the extreme of some of the people in the fitness world who, you know, do these competitions, but you will go through this rebound effect, or this yo-yo dieting, or this, I'm so restrictive, I'm so great, I'm losing so much weight, and then boom, I have a binge, or boom, I go off plan for like 2 meals, and then it turns into 2 days. And so flexible eating is really key.
1000%. So it was good. We got
It's
19 minutes.
19.
Oh, that was powerful. All right, I can't tell if there's any comments. I'm not sure. It says the chat.
We have to learn how to do this.
Yeah, but if you're commenting, awesome. Send me a comment real quick if you're listening to this, and I'm sure it'll be on Facebook and that sort of thing. So I'll comment back. But I'm just trying to learn this new platform. It's called Restream. Live right now. We're live on YouTube and Facebook, a couple channels. So. Oh,
Mama
there
Dukes.
Mama Dukes with a
You
little
did
heart.
make it.
You made it, and you're listening, and you sent me a chat. Cool, so it pops up right here.
So
Good.
it does work. Cool. And
All
it
right.
tells you where it comes from.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
All right, guys. So anything else you want to share, Karen? Any quick tips besides don't be so strict with your diet and
Don't be so strict.
what else?
Look
Wrap it
at
up.
food as quality and quantity versus good and bad. And
Right.
go for a walk today. Get some movement in your life. Even a small 10, 15-minute walk where your heart rate is slightly elevated. That's a good thing. Get some vitamin D, get some fresh air. Even if it's raining, hold an umbrella. You can do it. You're not going to melt. We're not witches. We won't melt.
Hey, Suzanne.
So that's my tip for today. If there's anything that you want us to talk about, or if you need support, you can always reach out to us. You could DM us or even comment in here. We'd be more than happy to answer your questions and help you.
It gives us stuff to talk about.
Yeah. And if you know somebody yourself who is struggling and is really trying to like get healthier, lose weight, or transform themselves, share our stuff to them, tag them in it so they can start watching, and then maybe they can get some tips here.
Or watch it in front of them and just turn the volume up really loud.
Be one of those.
Be a little passive. All right, guys. That's a wrap. Believe in yourself, trust the process, practice patience. Catch you on the flip side.
Bye.
Boom. We're out of here. How do you end this?
Now we just wait. It says end stream on the right.
There you go. Perfect.
Bye.